when it comes to war, somehow Obama makes war seem to be not only acceptable, but absolutely necessary, imperative, even good, if you will. All in the name, simultaneously, all in the name of saying he's anti-war. He's anti this, he's anti that. Virtually everything Barack Obama says he opposes, he supports. And we need to understand that. That's why he is a weapon, such an insidious and powerful weapon. We have to look at him for what he is, not for what we want him to be. Too many people got caught in the trance, looking at Obama not for what he is, but for what they wanted him to be. We have to look at Obama, and people just like him don't care about what their color or their gender is, for what they really are versus what we had hoped they would be. So this weapon, which he is a weapon against everyday ordinary people of all colors. This is the weapon, to borrow the FBI's infamous term. This is the weapon that needs to be neutralized. And when I say neutralized, I mean, so that it not be misconstrued, I mean politically. We must come, and conscious-wise, we must come to an understanding that he must not be allowed to continue to hold us, to mesmerize us. We've got to get out of this ridiculous, dangerous trance that we're in. No more weapons. And Obama right now, presently, is probably the most powerful weapon against everyday people. You know, when I think back to, for example, John F. Kennedy, JFK, and I'm certainly not romanticizing the Kennedys, period, be it John F. K. or Robert Kennedy. However, I will say this. There were certain fundamental things that JFK did attempt to do that did have a fundamental effect of helping, assisting the poor in this country, the poor of all colors, all colors. Also, there were fundamental things that Kennedy, in this respect, did. For example, where the CIA wanted Kennedy to go in and, quote, smash Cuba, despite international law, despite all kinds of things, Kennedy said no. Now, again, I want to emphasize, I am not romanticizing Kennedy. But when we compare, for example, this president, this former president, with this current president, one has to ask, have we moved forward or have we moved backwards? Clearly, we have moved backwards, and we're moving rapidly backwards, and we will continue to move backwards until we break free of this Obama trance. Right now, Obama is the best they have, and we have to reject that. When I say the best, I don't mean in a good or positive sense. I mean he is the most effective weapon that they have, the power elite, the globalists, against the people of this nation and the world. Once we deal with him, it becomes far less difficult. It will be difficult, but far less difficult to deal with their next tricks, because they always have tricks. But our trick is not a trick. What we have is each other, and it's way more of us than of them. What about Africa? What about what Barack Obama has done and is doing in Africa? The mother of civilization, all civilization. What about Africa? What's happening? Well, you know, in the first film, The Obama Deception, it was predicted, and rightly so, it has been proven to be correct, that Obama and his minions would be attacking Africa, would be developing war plans and carrying out those war plans. Did that happen? Did it actually happen? It most certainly did. Think back with me for just a few moments. Think back to Libya. Libya on the African continent. Think back to how this sovereign nation was bombed to smithereens. By whom? George W. Bush? No. Barack Obama. Think about it. Think about the fact that not only in Libya, in North Africa, but also in Somalia, drones are being used to indiscriminately bomb, and there's no such thing, by the way, as a smart missile or a smart bomb. Only dummies think that there are smart missiles and smart bombs and smart drones. But being bombed to smithereens, the massacres that resulted, for example, in Libya, North Africa, as a result of the destabilization by Barack Obama and his minions. The horrible human disaster where we're talking 40 to 50 to 100,000 people being massacred. Do you think for an instant Obama didn't know that this is what would occur? Of course he knew. The whole thing was meant to destabilize Africa, okay, whether it was Libya, North Africa, Somalia, East Africa, whether it was Syria. Think about what's happening in Syria today. Syria being very, very, very close to the African continent. By close, I'm speaking in geographical terms. Think about these things. AFRICOM. Have you heard of AFRICOM? AFRICOM, the militarization by the Obama regime of the African continent. The militarization for the purpose of using African armies to kill each other, acting as proxies for the power elite of the U.S. In this case, acting as proxies, if you will, for Barack Obama. Now, there were those back in 2008, 2009, when we predicted that these things, or it was predicted that these things would take place, who said, "Oh, no, not Obama. Not Obama, you don't understand. He's black." Think about it. Think about the bloodshed. Think about the destabilization of the mother continent. Think about it. And she's our mother, just like this planet is our Mother Earth. Think about what has been done. That was a crass and continues to be a crass deception. Remember, if you haven't looked up AFRICOM, look it up, Google it, AFRICOM, AFRICOM, the proxy for the United States to continue to militarize the African continent, to militarize it so that Africans are killing Africans, so you keep the continent divided. You keep the people manipulated and controlled. There are pogroms that are going on. Pogroms, that's right, P-O-G-R-O-M-S, going on right now throughout various parts of Africa. Thanks to whom? Barack Obama, his regime. We need to understand, be we black, white, brown, red, or yellow, we need to understand that what is at stake here is our very existence. I urge you to give serious thought to that. And again, I reiterate once more, don't be deceived again. There's a song back in the day, I think it was sung by a group called The Who. I love the song. We don't get fooled again. Let's not get fooled again. Let's not be deceived again. When we think of our Mother Africa, and I do say our Mother Africa, I don't care what your color is. When we think of our Mother Africa, think of Barack Obama and the devastation and the lies that this man has told and the devastation that he has brought upon humanity and upon our mother continent, and our planet, Mother Earth. Doesn't have to be this way. Don't have to be deceived again. And as the song from back in the day said, we won't get fooled again. You know, the question comes to mind, well, how can we avoid being deceived again? What's to stop us from succumbing to another deception. Let's go back to that word. I'll go to the word principles. If we have principles, if we stick to our principles, however challenging that may be, and sometimes it will be challenging, but if we stick to those principles, we can avoid being sucked down the toilet. We can avoid being once again duped. Let's maintain our principles. Let's be honorable with each other, however difficult and challenging it may be. Because in the final analysis, that's how we will avoid yet another deception. You know, one of the things that I feel extremely honored, delighted, happy to have experienced in my life was I had the opportunity to see and meet Brother Malcolm X, El Hajj Malik El Shabazz. This was back in the day, as I would say, way back in the day. This was actually around 1961. I was a youngster, about 11 or 12 years old, and had the opportunity to be taken to Morgan State College in Baltimore, Maryland, now Morgan State University. And my cousin, who was at the time a student at that particular institution, was among the students who brought Brother Malcolm in to speak. I was there, as I said, and saw Brother Malcolm, had the chance to listen to him, speak with him. And the thing that really touches me to this very day about that conversation was Malcolm's for realness. One of the reasons that I admire Malcolm so much, and this is not about the cult of the personality, this is just about human being to human being. One of the reasons I admire Brother Malcolm is because he evolved. When Malcolm came to realize that he was mistaken about something, he was human enough to say, I was mistaken about that. I'm using the example of how Malcolm grew from being a mere cultural black nationalist to an internationalist, to someone who believed in the need for humanity to come together as a whole. And what I remember when I saw Malcolm was his humanity. Malcolm had a smile that would blow your mind, as we used to say back in the day. He could walk into a room and you could be engaged in an intense conversation, and Malcolm would smile and you would just be engulfed by his humanity, as was I. Being as young as I was, I read a lot. I was an avid reader. My parents were both school teachers, poor, but school teachers, so they believed strongly in reading, in studying, in debating, etc. Anyway, at that young age, I could sense that Malcolm was first and foremost a human, and he spoke not down to me, but he spoke with me. And to this very day, decades later, many decades later, I think that's what I think of when I think of Brother Malcolm, a man of great humanity, a man of wit, of intellect, but most of all, a human who evolved constantly. Which leads me into a topic that is sometimes very difficult for me to discuss, and that is COINTELPRO, COINTELPRO, the Counterintelligence Program. The Counterintelligence Program, of course, being a program that was set up, began actually back in the 50s. It was intensified in the 60s and 70s and continued. And I would submit to you that COINTELPRO continues today. Now, what was COINTELPRO? COINTELPRO was a program that was set up by the federal government throughout this nation, not just one part, but throughout the United States, to, quote, to frame, to discredit, to neutralize, to imprison, and in many, many cases, to murder political activists across the board. Not only black political activists, but black, white, brown, red, yellow. People in this country, citizens of this country, who dared to challenge